Hey guys, good afternoon. It's Tony. The next breakout strategy that I'm looking to actually get, well, the next ticker that I'm using to look the breakout strategy on is going to be Crowd. One of my subscribers actually suggested Crowd to me, and I wanted to look at it to see what the actual play was, and it looks pretty solid. Again, why does it look solid? Shark fin created, relative highs created, retest, shot up, didn't beat all-time highs, retest, and then it went up to the upside. What just happened? 251. It looks like it's been trailing towards the upside for 2 weeks now, and it's created clear tops above that 251.09 level. So what are we going to do now is essentially find the relative high right there at 251.20, and we're going to use that to the bottom of the shark fin, or the start of the shark fin, I guess I should say, which is that relative low down there at November 9th, 2020. We're going to set it up basically right there. Boom, we're done. Next step, what happened? Clear break to the upside, right? Clear bullish candle towards the upside on the weekly chart. This is the weekly. Again, this is the weekly chart. If we want to be conservative on this play, again, we can look at doing a 5% take profit, which would be right here. Or if you want to be a little bit riskier, you can do a 2.5%, which would be somewhere in the range of 325 or so. I'm not going to be a little bit more conservative with Crowd just because I've never actually played this ticker before, and we're going to set it at 4.98, which is essentially 5% down from that 1.618 fib level. Again, what do we usually do? We get our rectangle, put it on 317 exactly. Let me see, 317, that's good enough. All the way to the right, go up, basically make the same move to the upside. That seems like it's relatively even-ish, sort of, right there. Close the rectangle, get our support and resistance lines, set our first take profit at 317.31, second take profit 333, fourth take profit at 350. Ideally, what you would do now, or what I would do, is I would buy a call that's already in the money. So 267 is the current price. I'd probably buy like something along the lines of 265, and then I would probably buy one call for 317, another one for like 330, maybe 335. If these calls are expensive, I'd probably do debit spread, which would obviously limit, it would cap the money that you can make, but it would definitely make the calls or the debit spreads a little bit cheaper. So instead of paying, maybe it's $1,000 to buy 267 call, maybe a month or two out, you would do a debit spread, and it would bring price down dramatically to maybe like 100 or 200 bucks. But it would cap, it would cap the amount of money that you can make. So you buy 165, you sell 170. That means that your cap is now, $5, which means that the max that you can make off that debit spread would be 500 bucks. Again, perfect play on Crowd. We have the shark fin that spiked up, easy retrace right here. We had another mountain peak that got created, a small mountain peak up here at that 223 level, went down, retested, and then it shot up, and it actually went over previous, and this is actually all-time highs right here. This is actually all-time highs, which is what I'm super happy about, because all-time highs being broken generally means a really good shot at that first TP being hit. So now essentially what we want to do is we want to see what these runs tend to actually, how they actually tend to play out, right? So what we're looking for is, what's going to happen now is from right here to the upside, we're basically looking at about a 50-point increase, right? We want to see what a 50-point increase actually takes in like previous months, right? So we see a rally that happened here. We have the rally happen here. It broke high somewhere around this level, and it did a 50-point move in sort of, this move was what, 42 days, about $30 point move from previous break in highs. It did a right around here, it broke it again, 50-point move, 77 days. So roughly, you might not want to buy a month out calls. Maybe you were looking at 2 month out calls here, just because that seems to be like the more probable play for Crowd. It does recently, from that spike of November, it did tend to spike huge from November till December, so like a 2-month move. So generally for this minimum, I would do maybe like a month and a half calls for crowd, just because it seems like usually these plays, the run-ups take about 2 months or so. So I think minimum I would do like a month and a half, and I would play this again. I would try to buy one call that's already in the money. I do a 317 and then 333 call, roughly around that range. But again, crowd, just basically looking at the forecast or the actual run-up times, you're looking at maybe about a month and a half out calls for crowd to hit that 317 level. Again, this is the conservative level, going down 5%, or essentially, let me see what the actual move up would be from here. So a move from 267 to 317, that would actually net you a pretty solid return. Remember what we talked about? Every 10% move on the upside is generally a full 100% return on your contracts or on your calls. So if this does actually hit in 2 months, and it goes up about 18%, you're roughly looking at anywhere of a return between 100 to roughly 200% returns on your calls if it does have that move to the upside. Again, I would definitely recommend 2-month out calls for these crowd, for this crowd ticker, just because that's essentially what it likes to do. It likes to do that 40 to 50 point move in around 2 months, and that's what we're looking for right now. We're looking between a 40 to 50 point move in the next 2 months or so, and I would definitely recommend definitely longer than a month, maybe a month and a half minimum, for this crowd, for these crowd prices to hit. And again, we are looking at that 18% increase, roughly anywhere between 100, 150 to at most, I'd say maybe a 200% gain off of these calls. And I will be looking at crowd tomorrow to see where price is, and I'll be looking at this play right here, possibly buying 3 to 4 contracts depending on price, roughly 2 months out. The month chart looks like it just broke to the bullish side, which is definitely a really good trigger for us. The week chart is definitely looking bullish, and again, we have that 50. We don't have a 200 MA that's created because I think crowd is still relatively newish, but it does look like we have that 50 crossing over the 200 MA. It's definitely above. So again, crowd is definitely looking pretty strong towards the upside. 2-month out contracts, I recommend buying one in the money and then buying that 317, 333, and then kind of gauging the play after about 2 to 3 weeks or so. But I will be buying this play tomorrow. It looks like it might actually hit within another month or two, and I think the max gain from these might be somewhere in the range of, anywhere from 100, 150 to 200%. At least that's what my rough estimate is. So I'll see you guys later. We'll see what happens with crowd, and I'll probably be getting into these tomorrow, and then we can update maybe later tomorrow at close. See you guys later. Have a good night.